I am Kat Gaines. I'm a developer advocate from PagerDuty, and just really quickly, a little bit background on me. My last role was running PagerDuty's global tech support organization. So in the process of building that team, I spent a lot of time thinking about relationships, empathy, experience, obviously the customer experience, but also the employee experience across both support and engineering. So I'm kind of passionate about this topic. There's a lot of benefit to be gained in just being intentional about building those relationships. And so I'm starting with a clip from the Pixar movie Inside Out. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies. And a quote from a New York Times article that I really loved at the time when the movie came out, which is this one on the slide. Emotions guide our perceptions of the world, our memories of the past, and our moral judgments of right and wrong. They also guide how we do business, how we conduct ourselves in the world. So for example, when you can't have a storefront interaction, when you can't have a kind smile, the ability for someone to shift the emotional tone of potentially an upset customer is really hard. We're also really into automation in the support world these days. It's something that, for example, you have things that shouldn't consume calories of a support agent's energy, but for a customer, if we're not careful, you run into badly configured chatbots, unnavigable phone menus, robotic voices, the things that add fuel to the fire when emotions are high. And so why are we talking about this? It's because now, more than ever, it's really crucial to remember that customer support teams aren't just there to churn out ticket responses or produce customer reports. They're your customer's entire perception of the company, no matter what they're doing, investigating, reproducing issues, liaising with other teams, providing their own feedback as they're reproducing things. The customer interactions they have in the interest of providing those services are really high stakes on an emotional scale. So there's an opportunity to corral emotions here. They have a ripple effect, and you can set yourself apart from competitors by creating happy, empowered customer support agents in knowledgeable teams. So a little bit about how we do this. A lot of it just boils down to collaboration. But there are a few key ingredients here. One of them is to create visibility. In order for that team to help customers, they need copious amounts of information. Data on who they're talking to, the systems they're working with, and so on. We also have to make difficult moments easy. So being part of these teams means more difficult moments than you'd like, so making it easy where you can will pay off. Whether you're automating, including customer support teams in revamps, sharing tools with engineering, and then finally investing in people. You can't create a happy employee out of thin air, and CS leaders need help doing that. So people at the end of the day need investment in their growth, the ability to collaborate with their peers, and a voice in the organization to know that their feedback is being heard. If we dive into that visibility piece, we're talking about really revolutionizing customer experience. That's deep, complex, cross-functional. And what you're looking at here is a look at a popular streaming services dependency map. So there are thousands of microservices represented here. They're all connected, they all depend on one another. They're kind of meaningless in isolation, but as a group, it becomes software. And behind that software, you have the humans, tasked with keeping that complexity running, anticipating the unexpected. So if you look at this, you see a clear visibility challenge ahead of the teams that manage it. So sharing that visibility with the other side of the business and CS teams, they already have their own complexity to keep track of. So as we talk through the ways in which we can help keep track of that complexity as shared teams, I'm going to say just think about how your teams are working together to resolve issues. For example, if customer support gets an inquiry, how do they find the right person to fix the problem? So when I'm talking to PagerDuty customers, I hear challenges between CS and engineering teams. It mostly boils down to siloed departments, exacerbating any issues they already have. Each team is keeping track of their own metrics for support, that's customer satisfaction, SLAs, et cetera. But it's likely there's a wall here standing in the way of achieving that goal. Tools and systems that have either no or limited connection with engineering, who they must talk to. They can't get timely information then on the status of the issues, and engineering likewise can't get a good picture of how customers are actually experiencing the issue that they see behind the scenes. So CS is a natural extension of what engineering teams do when it comes to the impact on customer experience. And if we want to build better products and care for our customers at the same time, those departments need connection more than ever. So shared metrics and shared understanding of each other's goals is one step in this direction, but shared tooling with full visibility can push that a step further. You can also use your support team to create visibility for engineering. Crucial information about the problem can come from your customers too. We all work really hard to prevent customers noticing issues, and it just isn't always realistic. So using that data that your customers give your CS team about what's wrong also has the effect of empowering agents to become part of the incident response process rather than just reacting to it. And so the next natural step is removing some friction. There is more than enough of that already. So customer support is a pretty hard job. If you haven't ever worked in CS, I'm going to give you some homework to go shadow them if you can. It's a great way to get to know who your customers really are. You see them in their highest emotion moments. You also see how that team navigates those moments. It's all the questions coming your way, very few of the answers at your fingertips, manual tasks. So CS really needs to rely on smarter automation. And by smarter, I don't just mean a chatbot set loose to run wild. I mean focusing the effort on the things that customers could reasonably self-serve anyway, a password reset, and then letting those teams focus instead on the deep dive problems, letting agents focus on interesting problems. So if automation can be applied when a ticket needs to be escalated to engineering, for example, the agent can then focus on what they can help with in the ticket rather than hunting down the manual steps to make that escalation happen. So you're probably already using some tooling to streamline your operations. PagerDuty might be part of that tool set, a number of other tools. The point is to share those tools with customer support. If you have your metrics out in the open with theirs in the same tools, that will help you stay aligned on common goals and reduce that kind of friction. The feedback loop that's required for a mature software development lifecycle needs the customer service team to operate effectively, and that's only possible with shared visibility. It's not just about visibility, though. It's about making it easy, being proactive, and designing intentionally for critical moments. So specifically, I'm going to focus in here on what we call major incidents. You might call it a service disruption. If it's really big, you might call it an outage. But when you share the tooling used to address these issues from the engineering side with customer support, it's easier to build a process to keep everyone informed. So a few different roles that customer service can play during an incident. They can, of course, communicate with customers from the beginning to the end, but they can also help aggregate customer-reported issues. If you need to know the blast radius of how far and intent something is reaching, how much the service is impacted, how many features, the depth, discovering whether it's slow or completely offline, you can get a lot of that data from monitoring tools, but you will also get some of it from your customer support team. Customer impact is part of that, and you might not be able to find it on your own. So that's where the customer support team comes in. They can associate an inbound customer complaint, for example, to a technical incident, which will help you drive priorities on what to address first. They can also help prioritize SLAs. So that team is in a really unique position to help confirm the impact of the incident with regard to your end user. They'll have the insight to know, for example, when a service is reaching SLA for certain customers and alert the responding team. That's a pretty important piece of information to manage, and you might not have the visibility into, for example, contractual agreements that they might be able to see a little bit more easily. Again, this will help aid in prioritization during incidents. Maybe restoring some services first will maintain an SLA for a customer or an important category of customers. And you can also advise on whether or not an incident should be escalated or have its severity increased based on the customer intelligence you receive from that team. More impact could mean higher severity level, more responders in triage, and more stakeholders informed. Speaking of those stakeholders, customer support can take the lead when it comes to codifying your communications practice for incidents. They can create messaging for customers, templatized responses and communication processes. They can not only have a say in those things, but they can actually own them and take that load off of others if it fits your org. They can also help create templates with clear information about the services impacted and where to go for more information so that informing customers of what's going on is very easy to do in a couple of clicks. And then finally, they can help with post-incident follow-up. Once everything is cleaned up, you'll have a lot of customers who hit refresh, who look at your status page, who will go straight to the customer support team and ask for update after update after update. And you do want those folks to watch proactive channels, but you can ease the cognitive load of responding to these customers for your team via this newfound connection with the incident process. So if you hold a post-mortem, for example, or an incident review, the customer support team has to be part of that conversation. They have that then extra data to present to customers about the scope and impact of the incident, the resolution, the long-term plans for prevention, and that changes the tone. Your customers feel consistency, support agents feel ownership of the conversation rather than something running off the rails. And then the last piece is to invest in people. So your customer support team isn't just there to report on metrics to the business or slog through a ticket queue. Investing means give them time, give them space to expand their skills, to grow in their careers. For support leaders, that means they might have to know that they might not keep them in support forever, but they can build a strong team that offers both phenomenal support and creates a hiring funnel into the business. This can sound really hard with limited staff, which is often the case in a support team. They might be trying to, for example, implement a premium support offering for customers and not know how they're going to staff for expanded hours or faster response. And that's a fair concern. Customers will have questions at pretty much any hour, and they'll always expect a high-touch level of support. Hiring 24/7 staff won't help those leaders redesign their team's status as a cost center, but developing a staffing model to use that team's time efficiently just might actually do it. Again, sharing tooling with engineering is one way to get there. For example, if you're using a tool to keep your team on call for responding to issues, you can share that with customer support. They can use the same tooling to provide a creative solution. They can rotate a specialized team for odd hours or high priority issues, and then existing staff can share the responsibility. Or they can open up a new career path for those who want to be on a team with specialized knowledge. Any way you spin it, having a team that can be notified as needed rather than fully staffed at all times, just staring at a queue, waiting for incoming requests, wasting money, wasting time, allows you to help your support leaders scale the customer experience more efficiently as the business grows. There's also advantage on the individual level for empowering customer service teams to reach out to other teams and advocate for customers. That creates new communications channels, creates new opportunities. So for example, your customer support team can even serve as a gateway into your organization for technical personnel who are still building skills. If they're building a close relationship with engineering, that can support their career growth. And customer service agents who transition to other departments bring with them their customer focus and dedication to the customer experience. That's a really valuable addition to a team who might not have had the opportunity to do this in their careers. Again, you're bringing the customer experience and focus, and you're scaling it out across the rest of the organization. At PagerDuty, this is something we've had a little bit of a reputation for doing with our support team, where we've had folks transition into engineering after a few years. We had them build formalized relationships that we called support ambassadorships with different engineering delivery teams. So they were really close with those teams. They were then subject matter experts on the parts of the product that those teams were working on. And when a role opened up that they might fit, they were first in line because they already knew, of course, the business and the product, and they were able to bring the customer insight aligned to that part of the product as well. So this is what it looks like, this little graph to bring your customers, your customer service team, and your development teams together. Your software development lifecycle doesn't actually end when code is just checked into a repository and all your tests turn green. Having a constant feedback loop from users back into development planning will link your user requirements directly to the product management phase of the cycle. Organizations across various industries have seen the benefits of adopting shared goals and purposes across different teams. It's proven, there's data, there are so many different studies and reports on it. So include your customer service team if you have larger org-wide initiatives underway. For example, DevOps transformations and automation projects. Doing that only increases the effectiveness of customer-focused teams, and improving the day-to-day work improves the experience they can provide for your customers. They need the same attention any team does, especially since their roles contribute so much to the customer experience. And in a nutshell, happy agents do equal happy customers. So that's all I have for today. We have a QR code up here. We have a little bit of data on our website around some of the concepts that I talked about today. There's a link there. For some reason, the QR code doesn't work for anyone. We also have a booth in the exhibit hall, number 422. If you have questions for me, or if you want to pick up some stickers or other swag, please come see us. We'd love to have a chat. And then the last thing here is that my Twitter handle is also there if anyone wants to follow and chat offline as well. Thank you.